What's your biggest regret from your teenage years? I didn't stand up for myself enough. I'm still too worried about how people will react if I say no or refuse to do something. I'm 20. And I wish I lived more of my life not caring what others think of me. I don't like getting in confrontation, so I'll often just tell people what they want to hear. The problem is that if you make a habit of doing it, people will just expect to hear what they want every time. I spend so much time waiting for something to happen. Like sitting on some steps outside of a house waiting for something to happen. Hanging out with people I did not really like waiting for something to happen. I feel like so much time was wasted waiting for something to happen, instead of doing something or making things happen. So determined to impress my classmates that I would stretch the truth so I could brag about myself. Now I realize most of them saw through it. If I could only go back, I would slap some duct tape across younger me's mouth. At least you, hopefully, left that behind in your teenage years. Lot of adults out here still trying this cringe move, and while it's embarrassing at 15, it's just deeply sad at 35. When I was 14, I poured ketchup on our back porch and laid down with my head next to it right as my mom came home from work. She came outside screaming and I laughed. She beat me with her shoe and I was grounded for the weekend. Now that I'm a parent, I realize what a real big dick ducking move it was and the terror she felt. I wish that I had taken mom up on her offer to teach me how to cook during those teenage years. It would have been so helpful, both during college and beyond. It was a missed opportunity because she's a great cook and a natural teacher. If she's still alive, do it now before it's too late. If she's not, take classes. I sent my husband out to Asian fusion cooking. He makes the best butter chicken on the planet. And you know what? It was all firemen and policemen. He loved the class. I don't think classes are really necessary to learn how to cook. If you have time, just stop getting takeout and start cooking every single night. Then you'll learn. As a wise woman once said, I wasted all my thin years thinking I was fat. I have never related to anything as much as this. I used to actually duck and cry cause I was gaining weight when I was a teenager that was still growing up. All the responsible people on this thread wanted to be more irresponsible and all the irresponsible people wanted to be more responsible. The grass is always greener on the other side. Cowardice. I was so unsure of myself and awkward. I know that all teenagers struggle with this. But as I look back now from my 40s, that kid in high school had so much going for him. He just didn't know it. The more he cared about fitting in, the less he fit in. And the worse people treated him. Girls were like an alien species and the future was terrifying. But it didn't have to be. I can totally relate. I'm barely out of my teenage years. But I specifically really regret that I turned down romantic relationships. I was such a coward about it. I cared more about how people would perceive me dating someone than actually dating that person, if that makes sense. I wish I hadn't cared about what people thought and just given those relationships a chance. I wore a fedora to prom. And prior to prom I had asked someone out and took the rejection really badly, said a lot of stupid shit on social media and acted out when asked about it. Also, back when it was a thing to add random people on FB, I used to post all sorts of corny white knight one-liners. Yeah? Okay. But by posting this, you've actually owned up and admitted you may have not been being a stellar guy at the time. So, you've owned up to it, admitted your past faults and sound like you've matured. Total Winnie Mo. That I didn't spend more time with my parents before losing them. Mom when I was 19. Dad right before I turned 26. I'm sorry. That's so young. Hope you're coping okay. Not becoming more involved in groups activities and not going out on weekends to parties. How do you even get invited to parties? This programming stuff is cool, maybe I'll learn it one day. 10 years later I'm just getting started. Man, if I had 10 years of experience under my belt right now I would be set for life. The best moment to start was 10 years ago. The second best is today. Godspeed to you. Caring about what people think of me too much. I spent the entire time basically being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be. Interesting. So did you change? Are you the person you want to be? Being mean to my mom. If it's any consolation, I'm a mom of a teenager. And preparing myself for this inevitability. My teenager is not intentionally mean. But he is used to having adults around that talk some smack. And I give him some gentle shit as well. He gives some right back to me. And sometimes it comes out rather harsh. He still loves me though. So if I call him out for inappropriateness or the like, he will usually apologize. I just hope he doesn't get much more surly with me. Cliche, but I lost a lot of friends due to excessive online gaming. I kept refusing to go out with them and socializing in general. Plus when college hit I didn't know how to talk to people and how to make friends. Ongoing process. World of Warcraft. Not doing more productive stuff. And drinking too much. It was fun. But sometimes it was very unnecessary and could have done lots of stuff with that time. Also more sex. I did the opposite. I studied a lot. Made good grades. etc. But I realized later there were all these parties going on that I knew nothing about. Maybe because I was a nerd and wasn't invited, I don't know. I did the same thing in college. Now I wish I'd gone to a few more parties and talked to more girls. I accomplished a lot by working for my classes all the time. But I wish now I'd had a little more balance. Still a teen, but I wish I focused less on isolating myself early on in high school and being a loner with a me vs them mentality. I've stunted myself socially and dug myself into a hole. To be fair, a lot of it stemmed from mental health issues and unresolved trauma, but I was also stubborn as hell and waited way too long to seek help and grow past all of it. Can you describe this for us? I'm not sure what you mean by this. Blacked out for a second and heard my bird. I felt and still feel so terrible about it. Are you British and talking about a girl? Or are you talking about a pet bird? I wish I had taken more risks. I worried about getting in trouble too much. I missed out on some fun because of that. And tried to play catch up when I was 19. Which led to me going a bit too hard through my 20s. I'm okay now. Successful and doing well. But there's lots of things I did in my 20s that I might not have done had I got it out of my system in my teens. I'm just lucky things turned out okay for me. 31 now. Not applying for every scholarship that was available for college. Yep. I feel you. Being shy and awkward around girls. I hope you've gotten over that. PMME you niggas. Breaking up with the nicest guy halfway through final year of school. I regret breaking up with him in general, but also it ruined what should have been an epic time of our life. Since we had all our friends in common, it just sucked. Lots of awkward behavior at parties. Drunken yelling. Crying. And that's just what he was doing, never mind me. Word of advice. Don't date within your friend group. Friends of friends are fine, but dating within a core group will tear it apart. Being in a long-term relationship. I wish I was single and partied and ducked around. Instead, I wasted my time with my ex and never dated other guys when I was younger. I wasn't in a long-term relationship. I just didn't date. For a long time I was just not interested. But now I've hit an age where all my friends are occupied with their adult lives and relationships and I've got no one and loneliness is creeping in. I wish I had attempted to date earlier in my life so I could have some base social skills in that area. I have no idea where to begin and I feel like at my age potential dates aren't gonna want to deal with someone who's trying to learn the ropes of relationships. Seeing school as a joke, skipping class, smoking weed up, making fun of the nerds. I got a good job with a decent pay, but sometimes I wonder how my life would look if I had studied more. I'm glad you got lucky. Since most people who do the same end up getting hit hard by the consequences later. Getting that girl pregnant and becoming a father at 17. Also, the self-harm. How's the young lad lass? It's complicated, to say the least. He turned 23 in late December and I've got no idea how he's really doing. I talk to him now and then but the conversations always end up him asking me for money. If I do help him with some funds he will come back and ask for more the next day or so. If I ask him how he's doing I've got no way of knowing if what he tells me is true or not. He's more or less a compulsive liar. He got diagnosed with ADD when he was 7. But I've always suspected it's more than that. Probably a combination of Asperger's and something else. One theory is a slight retardation coming from his birth where he got stuck for a little bit and didn't get any oxygen. His life has been ups and downs ever since. I decided right away that I wasn't gonna be a typical teenage dad. So I made sure to study and become something. She decided to become a typical teenage mom and now has, at 40, 6 kids with 4 different fathers. She has worked for 6 months of her life. This of course has had a deep impact for our son. She decided, when our boy was 7 and supposed to start school, to move to another city, 5 hours away. My contact with the boy, of course, became harder. But I went there and he came to me to visit. Then after a few years, it turned out she had been abusing alcohol and pills, and possibly our son, for a long time and made sure our son wouldn't say anything about it. When the secret was out, he moved to me and lived with me for 4 years. After that time he moved back to her and our contact became sporadic. She's been telling him that I wasn't there for him when he was little, which is a lie, and that I've never cared and so on. So, yeah, complicated. I've started playing online games and waste time on YouTube other platforms when I was teenager and I keep wasting my life there. I want to spend less time with a computer. Do stuff IRL. But I don't know how to get rid of this addiction. I've been addicted to online games since I was like 11-12. Developed a terrible posture and hadn't had many friends IRL and didn't came around a lot. Quitting was really hard. The thing that helped me was moving out from home and starting to study. Having something to do and being in a setting with people in your age helps a lot. It's already 4 months since I touched it the last time. It's really important not to grieve for the things you missed out. Try to visualize what you want and take the steps that are necessary to reach this. Here are some examples you could do. Try to find something you enjoy doing, like going for a run or doing any other sport. Also you should try to leave your apartment at least once a day and try to socialize with people. Just greet friendly and smile. Look around which activities can be done in your town and just go there. It's gonna be awkward, not gonna lie. But eventually you will find something you like and meet some nice people and have an awesome time. The first steps are important. Don't give up if it won't work at first. Good luck my dude. It's really worth the try. Don't take for granted what I said, it's just my personal advice. Just because it helped for me doesn't mean it works for you. I just shared my story with some advice that could maybe work for you. It's not a shame to seek for professional help. If I were given the choice now I would have done it as well. Sorry for my English though. Not my main language. I spent far too many years beating myself up to the brink of suicide over being gay. I wish I could have been a teenager today. Things have changed so much in the last 15 years. Still, I'm glad for those today. As a straight guy who has never really cared too much about the struggles of being gay, it just sunk in. That sounds terrible. I hope things are way easier now for you. Popping my first pimple. To the point that I can't stop. Pimple popping, not even once. Honestly, being more proactive on my education. I could have gotten a scholarship but I thought getting scholarships were pathetic and was so prideful about it. I didn't know shit back then but I'm kicking myself now with so much money I put in when I look at my 1098 tuition forms for the government. My sister had cancer and it really affected my relationship with my girlfriend. Sometimes I would just shut down. I really wish I'd handled myself better because she and I were really in love. And I think it was the main contributing factor to us eventually breaking up.